Alright, so as you're working on the practice on pages 7 and 8, each time you're looking through a problem, you just want to keep asking yourself, is it an interior question or is it an exterior angle question? And once you've narrowed it down, so if you know it's interior angles, then you're asking yourself, is it the sum or is it each or one of them? And maybe the way that they're saying it that is they say the word angle, meaning singular, meaning one angle. If it's exterior, you're asking yourself, is it the sum of the exterior angles or is it just each or one of them? And maybe the way that they're describing that is they'll just use the word angle, which implies there's just one of them, it's singular. So take a moment to see how you're doing with the first two for exterior angles, because we checked the interiors already. So at the bottom, 8 and 9 were about exterior. So notice some of the key words that helped me out there. This said the sum of all the exterior angles, which is always going to be 360. Notice for the next one it said each or one interior. So I know that the angle will be 360 divided by the 20 sides. So in that case the angle is going to be 18 degrees. As you move to the back, there's going to be a mixture of questions there. So some of them will be about interior, some of them will be about exterior, but same idea. You want to keep using the keywords to help you decide which one you're looking at. Alright, so let's take a look at number 10. So notice for number 10 it said the exterior angle, so implying it's singular, so it's talking about one of them, and notice it's also talking about the fact that it's regular, because these formulas work when we're dealing with a regular shape where all of the angles are the same. So in that case, I know that I'm going to be using that formula where 360 divided by n equals the angle, and this time they gave me the angle, I replaced it. And so if I start to think about putting that 9 over 1, turning it into a ratio so that I can cross multiply, n times 9 would be 9n, 360 times 1 would be 360, and then I'll divide both sides by 9. So I know now that that'll have 40 sides. So in all of these formulas, n just stands for the number of sides that the shape has. For number 11, there's a couple of different ways to work through this one, but notice it said the interior angle, singular, meaning one of them. It also mentions it's a regular shape. So that's my clue that I'm using for the one interior angle for a regular shape. I'm using this formula. And so I started to set it up this way. It is going to be a little bit long to solve this way, so I'll show you an alternative. You'll get the same answer regardless. But in this scenario, I knew the angle was going to be 108. And then I said I knew the formula was the number of sides minus 2 times 180 and then divided by the number of sides, which is also the number of angles. I put that 108 over 1 so that I could help remind myself that I can just cross multiply here. So 108 times n gave me this. And I know 1 times anything is not going to change the value. So if I multiply 1 with these things, I'd still have the same amount. And then from there, you're just using your Algebra 1 skills. You're starting to solve it like an equation. So I'm noticing I have 180 times both of these terms. So I would want to think about distributing there. And so I had to bring my work over this way. So 180 times n is 180n. 180 times negative 2 gave me negative 360. And now I'm just solving that like a normal equation. So if I have variables on both sides, it's my job to bring all the variables over to one side. So I have positive 180n here, so I would need to subtract 180n to get rid of them on this side. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So if I combine on this side now, I have negative 72n. Over here, since the n's canceled out, I'm left with negative 360, which makes it this. And then if I divide out that negative 72 from both sides, I'm going to get that n is 5 sides in this scenario. So that's one way to do it, but as you can see, there's a lot of different steps there. So in a situation like this where I'm talking about one interior angle and I'm trying to find the number of sides, a different option is to look at the exterior angle. So remember before, when we were finding exterior angles, we saw that each time we had an exterior angle, the interior and the exterior together make a straight line. They're a linear pair. So they add up to 180, which allowed me to take this interior angle away from 180 and find the exterior. So we're going to use that same logic here. So an alternative for number 11 would be instead to find the exterior angle. So I would think about the fact that an interior angle and an exterior angle together are a linear pair. So if the interior angle is 108, 180 minus 108 tells me the exterior angle is going to be 72 degrees. And if I work from the exterior angle, the formulas for those are much, much easier, much shorter. And so I can just start using this one now that I've gone to the exterior angle. So I would say I know the angle is 72 degrees. So the angle is 72, and I know that's going to be equal to 360 divided by the number of sides. I put the 72 over 1 just to remind myself that I can cross multiply in this scenario. I can make this a ratio, so it's equal to another ratio. So 72 times n gave me 72n. 1 times 360 gave me 360, and I would divide both sides by 72. So notice that both of them lead to the same answer. I get 5 sides regardless of how I'm solving it, but this one might be a little bit easier if you're comfortable with the fact that you know that interior angles and exterior angles together are a linear pair. They add up to 180. So if you're given one interior angle, you can find the one exterior angle in a regular shape. But if you want to be consistent, you would just keep saying, oh, one interior angle, I have to use this formula. As you're working on the other ones, notice now they're starting to give you pictures, but you want to keep narrowing it down the same way. So you want to keep asking yourself, do I have interior angles? Do I have all of them or just one for a regular shape? Do I have exterior angles? Do I have all of them or just one of them in a regular shape? So notice in number 12, these are definitely not regular because they're not all the same, but they are interior angles, and I have the sum of all of them. So I'd want to go through and think about how to find the sum for all of these. So if I do, this is a 4-sided shape. So if I do 4 minus 2, that gives me 2. So 2 triangles fit into that shape. 2 times 180 is 360. So the sum for a 4-sided shape is going to be 360. And I know that all of these angles added up together are going to equal 360. So when I combined the like terms here, 110, 79, 55, that gave me this, and I took away 244 from both sides to get x, to get that missing angle. All right, same thing for this one. I noticed this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-sided shape. So that would be a 7-sided shape. And if I plug in a 7 here, 7 minus 2 is going to give me 5. 5 times 180 is going to give me 900 there. So the sum of all of these angles, including that 90-degree angle, when I combined all of the like terms, I got 106. And I had that x. So to get x by itself, I would take away 106 from both sides. So x is going to be 94. Same idea here. I'm looking and I'm seeing these are angles that are inside the shape. They're interior angles. And if I look, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided shape. And so if I find the sum for a 6-sided shape, it's 720. So I would show that when I add all of these angles together, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all 6 angles, when I add them together, their sum, because I'm adding all of them, is going to be 720. When I started to combine my like terms, so I combined all of my x's, I combined all of my constants, all my plane numbers, and so then I get a much simpler equation. I would take away 278 from both sides and then divide by 26. All right, if you need more time to work on these, I have this key on Schoology, and you're always welcome to come to Warhawk Time as well. But it's the same idea, even though we just have a picture, just keep asking yourself, are they interior angles or are they exterior angles? Are they ones that are outside of the shape? Are you dealing with all of them, or are you dealing with one of them in a regular shape? So notice for number 16, it was telling me it was regular. I can see there's only one of them. So I went through it and I found one interior angle for a regular, and this is a 10-sided shape. So I did 10 minus 2 to figure out how many triangles fit into that shape. I multiplied by 180. So 10 minus 2 would be 8. So 8 times 180. So that's the sum of all of them together. But then, since this is a regular shape, I want to find just one of these angles. So I would divide by the fact that there are 10 angles. So one of these angles, one of the interior, is going to be 144. So I know that one of these angles is going to equal 144, and then I just solve it like a normal equation. So the geometry part is getting comfortable with using these different formulas, but once you set up your equation, you're just using your Algebra 1 skills. Notice in the last one, these are exterior angles, they're outside of the shape, and I want to think about the fact that the sum for all exterior angles is 360. So I wrote an equation that said if I add up all of these exterior angles, I know they should sum up to 360, and then I just solved it like a normal equation. If you want help with any of this, feel free to come to Warhawk Time.